Greetings. My name is Dr. Erica Cirillo-McCarthy, and I'm the Director of the University Writing Center here at MTSU. Thank you for joining me for this brief workshop where we'll talk about what your MTSU professors expect in their writing assignments, and we'll also discuss some strategies for you to understand and meet these expectations. We're really happy you're here, and we want the University Writing Center to be a big part of your strategies for success. But first, I'd like you to reflect back on the writing expectations you faced in high school or your most recent educational experience. In high school, it might have been common to write one draft on a topic chosen for you, perhaps over the course of a few days or perhaps crammed into one busy night. You may have had rigid expectations, such as only writing 5 paragraphs that included an intro, 3 body paragraphs, and a concluding paragraph. You may not have had time in the classroom or at home to engage in all the phases of the writing process. Now, here at MTSU and at other universities, what you're expected to write will change. So it makes sense that how you write will also change. So in what ways will these expectations change now that you're here at MTSU? I'd like you to pause the workshop now and get out or open up the accompanying handout entitled Moving from High School Writing to University Writing. Please take a few minutes to fill out the second column titled High School Writing. When you are finished reflecting on your writing experience, come on back to the workshop. Now, before we dive into the writing process, I'd like to clear up something. Many people think that good writing is something that comes naturally. Some people were born good writers and others, well, they weren't, and they'll never be good writers. In other words, there are good writers and there are bad writers, and there's nothing anyone can do about that. This myth is typically accompanied by an idea that writing is easy and it happens in one sitting. Well, what if I told you that's simply not true? In fact, we are all writers. However, good writing takes time. Good writing is a recursive process, meaning that writers move through the process in a non-linear way, sometimes returning to steps as necessary. Even prolific writers, people who write for a living, for example, move through this multi-step process. They write multiple drafts and they get feedback on drafts. In the next few slides, we'll detail each phase of the writing process. So the first phase is called pre-writing. Sometimes it's just called brainstorming. It's the phase where you think about what you're going to write and maybe even sketch out some ideas. It may include preliminary research, maybe talking with a friend or a peer about a topic or idea, outlining, listing, or anything that really helps you solidify a general idea for writing. Some folks are visual learners and enjoy mind mapping or webbing their ideas. This part of the process looks different for each person. While some writers need to talk about their ideas with someone else, such as a writing tutor or a classmate, others prefer to spend more time pre-writing in their head before they put anything down on paper. And still others prefer a combination. The point is to try out different pre-writing approaches to see what works best for you so that you build a toolbox of pre-writing strategies. Now the next phase is drafting. This is sometimes the hardest part for writers because getting ideas down on a page can often be intimidating. At times you might feel that you have writer's block, but it's important to remember that the first draft should be far from perfect. Drafting should be putting ideas into sentences so that they can be shaped up later. There are lots of strategies for getting a draft started, such as to start drafting from your best idea or most important point, even if that won't be the first paragraph. Drafting can also lead us to new ideas and might help writers see things in different ways. It's important for you as a writer to be flexible and open during the drafting phase and don't give up. You have a lot of ideas in your head and you want to find the best way to generate them for your draft. The next step is revising, and it's a critical next step. This is where you get feedback on a draft to start making large-scale changes, like adding or deleting content, reorganizing ideas, or adding in more research. Revision may take a bit of time, but it's always worth it in the end. Writers often conflate revising with editing and only change a word or a tense here and there during the revision, but they're really missing out on the opportunity to revise holistically, meaning really re-seeing and revising the entire draft. Getting feedback, either from your professor, a classmate, or a Writing Center tutor, is one useful way to begin those holistic changes. Now we come to editing. And editing should come towards the end of the process after all of the big changes have been made through revision. This might include fixing typos, changing a word or sentence structure, adding in missing commas, and other small-scale changes. This is where you focus on addressing any grammatical errors. And it's helpful at this point to read your draft aloud and work with the writing tutor on editing strategies. Finally, the good part, publishing. This is where you share your final draft with your intended audience. We draw the writing process as a cycle, but it's important to remember that it's not a perfect circle. For example, a writer may get to the revision phase and have to go back to pre-writing phase to flesh out some important content, and that's okay. Remember that each time a writer follows the writing process, it might look a little different. So now that we've covered the writing process and how your approach to writing will be different at MTSU, let's talk briefly about what you'll be expected to write. Many students come to campus thinking they will only be expected to write for English courses, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Here at the Writing Center, we see student writing in all classes, from economics to history to biology. From public speaking to fermentation science, MTSU students are asked to write in different genres, and that's types of writing, such as lab reports, business memos, research papers. And they're going to be asked to do different things in their writing: analyze, argue, define, and narrate. Finally, you might be asked to write in multiple different style guides, such as MLA, Chicago style, APA, or Turabian, and there's many more. Now, what you won't be asked to do here at MTSU is to write a 5-paragraph essay. While this is a wonderful foundation for ensuring the basic parts of a paper are there, college writing will ask for much more depth and expansion of ideas. Some ways to drill down into writing expectations is to pay close attention to the writing assignment sheets and rubrics. Assignments may include some key words that you want to pay attention to. These might include required paper parts like a thesis, which is a clear main idea sentence. It may also include what aspects to pay special attention to, like formatting style, citation sources, content, grammar, and organization. You may also see different writing genres, which is essentially the type of writing expected, like discussion posts, reports, and essays. Each genre comes with its own set of writing expectations. You'll also want to hone in on keywords that provide direction for the writer, such as argue, support, explain, analyze, define, and summarize. Each of these words asks the writer to do something very specific. Arguing a position, for example, is very different from comparing and contrasting two ideas. Finally, always remember that it's okay to ask questions when an assignment is unclear. Talk to your professor first and foremost, and feel free to come in and speak to a Writing Center tutor about different ways to approach these different assignments. We hope you enjoyed thinking about the differences between your high school writing expectations and MTSU writing expectations. The main takeaway is that while things may be different here, and you might be asked to write in a way that seems unfamiliar, remember, you got a lot of support. The MTSU University Writing Center can be part of your writing process. We invite all writers to work one-on-one with our peer tutors, either face-to-face or online, so that they can take their writing to the next level. This free service is available to all MTSU writers, from freshmen to PhDs. Look, good writers know that feedback is an integral part of the writing process, so we hope you'll use this University Writing Center for all of your writing projects to get that feedback. Now, we'd like you to return to the handout that you started at the beginning of this workshop and fill out the final column entitled University Writing. Take some time to consider how you will adjust to university writing expectations and what resources you will use as you meet, and we're sure you will, exceed university writing expectations. You all got this. Thank you.